Good morning. It is really, really wonderful to have you all here today. I'm going to talk to you about what it really takes to get Referral to work. But before I dive into that, I want to talk a bit about why we set up Mention Me in the first place. So this is where Mention Me started, and I would love to claim that it was me and Tim drinking pina coladas on the sunset and having a great idea. Sadly, it wasn't quite that romantic. Rather, this is a villa from HomeAway, and HomeAway was the world's largest marketplace for holiday rentals, kind of the precursor to Airbnb. And it was there that we were working when we really cut our teeth on referral marketing and understood how complex it was and how valuable it was as a channel. At HomeAway, we had 18 market-leading brands around the world, all of whom got great word of mouth. And you didn't see it in the online marketing data, but when we surveyed customers, about 65% of people said they were coming in having been recommended by a friend. And yet every one of those 18 brands had a referral program, and they were all useless. They were all delivering less than 2% of acquisition. And we thought that was nuts. So we spent a couple of years playing with a couple of the brands and turned it into a channel that was delivering more than 20% of acquisition. And really it was on the back of that learning that we realized there was a huge opportunity, and referral really should be at the core of every marketing mix. We realized it was valuable. We also realized it was hard, and that tends to make for a good business. But it wasn't just that we found this channel that worked. It was also that when we looked at where marketing was going, it felt like referral had a core place to play in the future of marketing. So marketing has been through so much change in the last 20 years. It is unrecognizable today compared to where it was 20 years ago. Most of the job titles in this room did not exist 20 years ago. And we think that pace of change is going to continue. So it is fascinating to think about how marketing is going to develop over the next 10, 20 years. It's impossible to actually really visualize that, but you can see the themes that are going to be important. And there are two themes that we really fixate on. We fixated on when we set up Mention Me, and that we continue to believe are relevant. The first of those is trust. No one buys anything unless they trust the brand they are buying from. And so actually one of our core jobs in marketing is to get someone to trust us enough to buy from us from the first time when they become a customer. And that is hard, and it's getting harder. People are less trusting, and all of the research out there says that people trust marketing messages less and less and less. So that is something that marketing needs to solve over the next 5 to 10 years. The other key theme is relevance. And that's fairly obvious, but as marketing develops and gets better and better, it should become more relevant. Every time you serve a marketing message and it hits someone who it's not relevant for, it's a waste of your money, it's a waste of their time, and it's inefficient. So we know that marketing needs to try and solve for relevance over time. One of the things that we loved about Referral is it stands out in terms of trust and relevance. So this is data from Nielsen. They run a survey every year where they ask people how much they trust messages from different marketing channels and how relevant they find the messages from different marketing channels. And you can see Referral quite clearly stands out in the far rest of being the top right of being one of the most trusted and most relevant marketing channels. It's interesting that all of the kind of more established channels in blue there are less trusted, less relevant, and this survey is done year after year, and they are falling every year down that chart. So people are trusting the messages that they're getting from the more established channels less and less. And that means getting your existing customers out there talking about you is becoming more and more important. And that's kind of the research side of this. But when you take this back to an individual perspective, at the act of referral, it's really quite obvious why this happens. Something really kind of magical happens when a referral happens. So let's take this example. This is Catherine and Amaki. Catherine's in the red, Amaki's in the blue. And Catherine wants to refer Hush, the wonderful women's wear brand, to Amaki. Before she does that, she applies two filters. She does this subconsciously, but she applies a reputation filter. And that says, I am not going to risk my reputation by sharing something that is not trustworthy with Amaki. And the best thing about that is that Amaki knows that when she receives the referral. So Amaki will trust the recommendation. And we all do this all the time. So we say things like, well, it must be good if Catherine's recommending it. What we really mean by that is, I know that Catherine wouldn't risk her reputation with me by sharing something that wasn't worthy of my trust. It's a really, really powerful filter. The other filter is a relevance filter. Catherine's only sharing with Amaki because she thinks Amaki will like the clothes from Hush. She wouldn't waste Amaki's time by sharing a brand that wasn't relevant. And again, Amaki knows this. And that makes it so powerful because Amaki turns up to Hush expecting to like the brand, trusting the brand, and ready to buy. And it means that the conversion rate on a customer who's been referred is through the roof compared to other customers coming from other channels. And that is why referral is so powerful. Those dynamics of helping someone trust a brand, like a brand, and believe it's going to be relevant to them. It's also what makes referral hard. Here you have a social interaction. Where you have a social interaction, you effectively have social psychology. And so when you're trying to solve for referral, you're trying to solve social psychology. And that is why just putting a widget on your site doesn't work. You need to be more sophisticated than that. When we think about that, we quite often come back to this metaphor, which for obvious reasons we call the weights and balloons. Now, in this metaphor, we are trying to raise the number of referrals by maximizing the balloons and minimizing the weights. And you can see on the left-hand side, we've kind of got the practical considerations, like what is the incentive you're going to use to get someone to refer your brand? How do you get that incentive to be optimal so that you maximize that balloon? And how do you minimize the effort required? How do you make the customer journey as smooth as possible? And that stuff matters. It makes a difference. You can get real improvement in a referral program by getting those things right. But they are not the core drivers of referral. The core drivers of referral are the stuff on the right-hand side, about the social side of things, social risk and social capital. So if there is any perceived social risk, people will not share your brand or a referral offer. And that means if there's any chance that they will look bad in front of their friends, if they could look like a spammer, if they don't think their friends will like your brand, if they think their friends could get a better offer somewhere else and they're not actually helping their friends by sharing it, all of that just cuts a referral program dead. And so if you get any of those things wrong, it's effectively a pitfall that you've fallen into that means referral won't work. But the real magic is on the social capital side. And social capital really means how can you help your customers look good in front of their friends? Because if they think they're going to look good in front of their friends, they will share your brand and the referral offer with their friends. And that might be because they think their friends are going to appreciate it, they're helping their friends out. It might be because your brand is a cool brand and they want some of that brand cachet rubbing off on them and they want to be seen to be associated with your brand. It might be that it's an early adopter brand. It might be that they know that their friend has a specific problem that your brand can solve. All of those things will make people share. And that is where you get referral to really fly, solving the social capital and making your customers look good in front of your friends. Typically, when we work with clients, they fixate on the left-hand side of this because it's the stuff that's easy to control, it's the stuff that's easy to think about. But actually getting into the heads of your customers and thinking through what will make them share is the magic that makes referral really work. One of the other things that we learned at Home Away was you need to make referral feel as natural as possible. And so one of the things that we enable at Mention Me is letting people share just by using their name. So you can tell any of your friends, or I can tell any of my friends to go to the brands that we work with and just enter my name in the checkout in order to claim an introductory offer. There are some really, really nice things around that. The first is it captures the genuine infectious enthusiasm. It is much more emotional when I'm telling a friend about a brand I love than sending a link or sending something in Twitter. It also lets me do it on my terms, in the right time and the right place. So if I get a compliment about some clothing, or if someone sees the new sofa I've got in my home, or if I'm coming back from a holiday and I'm raving about it to my colleagues, that is the time I want to share the brands that I've been working with, not when I've been asked by the brand on their terms. And finally, it's just really easy to remember. So it's very easy for customers to remember that they can just tell their friends to enter the name. And name sharing is really powerful. It accounts for 30 to 40% of the referrals that we see on Mention Me. We obviously have all of the link-based sharing as well, but it's a really, really nice way of letting people share your brand in a very natural way. And if you want to see that in action, here are 4 of the brands that we work with: Spoke, Eve, Bloom & Wild and Biscuiteers, all of which I'm a huge fan of, and you can just enter my name in the checkout in order to claim an introductory offer. So that's effectively where we came at referral from. And then when we set Mention Me up, we said, okay, well, we come from a world having been in businesses where stuff was really hard to get done from a tech perspective, so we need to make it really easy to get set up from a tech perspective, which is why we have our tag-based integration, and you can get set up using just tag managers. Then there's testing and optimization. Ultimately, that is the key to unlocking the social psychology piece. When I was working at Home Away, my marketing director came to me and said, are we going to do £30 off or £50 off? And I said, well, let's test them. And she's like, we can't, because once we've served the £30 off, we can't switch to the £50 because people will get the wrong offer once we're doing it. So effectively, at Mention Me, we enable A/B testing by cohort, so that once someone sees an offer, they and their friends are guaranteed consistency of experience for the next 6 months, whilst you and the marketing teams can play with all of the different variables, and there are 50 or 60 different variables, to figure out what works for your different customer cohorts and different customer segments. And then finally, we realized that there are very few referral experts out there. Like, it is very rare that you have a referral expert in a marketing team these days. And so we recognize that it is our job to work with you to help make referral work for your business. Every business is different, every customer segment is different, and so we need to figure out what will work, but we have lots of experience of running more than 2,000 A/B tests in referral to help you figure out what will work. And on the back of that, we work on a cost per acquisition basis because we recognize that we need to come together with you to make it work, and we'll take the risk on making it work for your brand. So ultimately, when we start working together, our job then is to optimize the referral funnel. Referral is a funnel like most of the other things in the online world. In the referral funnel, we are going to show referral offers to your customers. We're going to encourage them to share. Once they've shared, we want their friend to claim a reward and ultimately go on to make their first purchase or transaction or booking. And getting that funnel right is key. Typically, when we launch, we will see the early numbers and we'll see there's a couple of numbers that aren't as good as we'd like in that funnel, and so we'll run the test to try and optimize those numbers in the different customer segments. Then when we have the funnel looking good, it's all about where are we going to promote referral. And every business is different here. Like, it is different as to where you will be able to promote it. It's different as to what will be easy for you in terms of getting promotion points out there. What we normally do is look to launch in a way that is very practical and easy to get up and running. So it's kind of a crawl, walk, run approach. So we might, or on a retailer, we might launch on the order confirmation page in a post-purchase email cycle, just talking to existing customers. That will give us enough volume that we start to see the referral funnel, we start to optimize the funnel, and then over time we expand that to as many points as possible on site, in email, in other channels, and to other audiences. And it's when you've optimized that funnel and you've got all the promotion points in place that you see referral really firing and delivering the volume that it can do. Now, that is the approach that we've taken over the last 6 years now working at MentionMe. It's been a fantastic journey. We now work with more than 400 brands across all sizes, all verticals. So a lot in retail, a lot in fashion and beauty, but also in travel, energy, finance. We can work anywhere where there is a happy customer, enough trust, and a transaction which you can thank a customer for making. I'm not going to talk to all of these brands, but I do want to talk to a couple of them. The first of those is Farfetch. So we've been working with Farfetch for almost 5 years now. And the first question a brand like Farfetch has when we talk to them is, can referral work in luxury? Luxury is obviously a very unique space, and does referral work there? And the short answer is, because of what I was saying earlier about wanting to be associated with brands, referral works really well in luxury. People want to be seen to be associated with Farfetch, and so it is a phenomenal channel for them. There are the challenge within luxury is that you have very demanding customers, and so you need to make sure that you are getting the right message to the right customer at the right time, and so segmentation becomes key. And you typically start by doing that on a country basis, and then on a value of the customer basis, and then you get more and more sophisticated. But even on a country basis, Farfetch sees very different things working. You can imagine the culture matters a lot when you talk about the type of reward and what resonates. So even at a very high level, in China, 10% off works better, in Brazil, free shipping works better, and in Russia, a gift card works better. Very, very high level, but that level, that makes a real difference. And then going down into the customer segments helps again. Now, referral does work phenomenally well at Farfetch. Within 9 months of launching referral, it was delivering 15% of their new customers. And then they have some other lovely stats. So they know that when a customer shares, so just as the act of telling their friend about it, either by email or face-to-face, that is worth £100 to Farfetch. They know that that will generate £100 in revenue. That makes it very easy to build a business case to promote referral far and wide across the site and touch points. And they also know that 30% of new customers come from word of mouth. And that typically is what we see in fashion, because there are so many compliments happening out there that when someone compliments someone on a new outfit, the chances of them mentioning the referral program is much higher. And the best way of doing that is through name sharing that I was describing earlier. I want to talk about one other brand that is very different, and that is Zipcar. So we've been working with Zipcar for the last couple of years. And they've been trying referral and hadn't really got it to work. And over the last couple of years, it's really taken off, and we're now rolling out across Europe. Zipcar is really interesting because it's quite a complex thing to buy, or thing to sign up for. Like, when you think about signing up for Zipcar, you normally, well, certainly when I did it, I had so many unanswered questions in my head, like, how's this going to work? What happens if I have an accident? What happens if I don't get it back on time? When it gets that complicated, actually the best person to educate new prospective customers are your existing customers. It is really easy for that conversation to answer all of those questions quickly. And so Zipcar have done that to great effect. A couple of really nice numbers from them. They only need to offer a £25 incentive for a referral. And that, in some businesses that may be a lot, but in a business like Zipcar with a really high lifetime value, that is a really low acquisition cost for them. And that is because there is so much kudos in sharing Zipcar. You feel like you're ahead of the curve, it's a nice brand to be associated with. And so the incentive really is a reason for a conversation to happen rather than the core driver of referral. And that ties back to the weights and balloons that I was talking about earlier. The other thing is that once someone has been introduced, there is a 37% chance that they will sign up to Zipcar, which as a conversion rate in this sector is phenomenal. Often their conversion rates of getting someone to the site and then getting them to sign up are much, much lower. So the fact that they have had the friend educate them about Zipcar means they are much, much more likely to sign up. So this hopefully highlights that every brand is really, really different when it comes to referral. The motivations behind it, the customer motivations are all very different. And solving for your individual brand and your individual customers is key to making referral work. When we look overall at referral and what we see it delivers, it is a phenomenal channel. It's phenomenal both in terms of the volume it can deliver and the quality of the customers it brings in. And this kind of all ties back to the reasons that I've been talking about so far. So once referral is optimized as a funnel and in all of the right promotion points, we see it delivering a 10 to 30% increase in customer acquisition. So it should be a chunky part of your customer acquisition. But it's not just about bringing in any old new customers. These are your best customers, best friends. They come in with high trust, predisposed to liking you, expecting to find you relevant. And so they are likely to spend more on your first order, up to 30% more on that first order and have a higher lifetime value. They are much more likely to opt into email newsletters because they're interested in you, because they've been primed. Those customers who have referred you in the first place normally get a thank you reward. 54% of them go on to make incremental purchases with that thank you reward. So it's also a great way of engaging the existing customer base. And then this is a channel that really gathers momentum. Once someone has been referred and they've been through that process, they are 3 times more likely to become a referrer. So you see really nice momentum growing within the referral program as it starts to take off. Hopefully that gives you a good sense as to what it takes to get referral to work and the power of the channel. This is the theory. The more interesting stuff is when you actually hear the real world examples. So we have some fantastic case studies coming up, and I will let Lizzie introduce the first of those now. Thank you very much.